Hello children, today I am present here with a new chapter of economics, chapter number 5, Human Capital Formation in India. So in this chapter, first let us understand what is human capital. So when a normal human being is imparted education and is provided good health, he adds to the productivity, or he increases the production in the country, or adds to the economic growth of the country, or he contributes in the economic growth of the country because of acquiring better quality of education, higher education, and by having a better health within the person. So he is able to contribute more to the economic growth of a country. That refers to human capital. So when a normal human being is converted as a capital, because capital, it always contributes to the economic growth of a country. So let us understand this chapter in detail. So first of all, let us understand what is human capital and what is physical capital. So we all know about the physical resources. They are very important in the process of manufacturing of goods and providing various services. But in the growth of physical capital, human capital is more important. So let us understand what is human capital. It refers to the stock of skill, ability, expertise, education and knowledge in a nation at a point of time. That we call it as the human capital. It is the stock of skill, ability, expertise and education, which adds to the economic growth of the country. That we call it as the human capital. Now we all know what is physical resource and physical capital. It refers to the assets which themselves have been manufactured and are used for production of other goods and services. So we have just defined what is human capital and what is physical capital, and human capital is more important in the growth and development of physical capital. Now let us go through one table which will show us the difference between physical capital and human capital. So you can see here, it can be understood very easily. Physical capital is tangible. Tangible means we can touch, we can see it. But human capital is intangible, means the knowledge, skill that cannot be touched, that can only be experienced. Then second point, it is physical capital is separable from its owner. So we all know the physical resources or the raw materials that can be separated, or the goods can be separated, they are called the physical capital. They can be separated from the owner. But human capital, that is education and health, knowledge and skill, they cannot be separated from the owner. They are along with the owner. Owner means the person who possesses them. Now physical capital, they are perfectly mobile. It means they can be moved physically from one place to another, one country to another. But the mobility is restricted by nationality and the culture. Human capital cannot be moved from one place to another because it is along with the person, and it can be moved only when that human being moves from one place to another. Then physical capital, naturally it depreciates over as the time passes due to change in technology. So there is depreciation in physical capital, but human capital, it does not depreciate. Now physical capital, it only creates private benefits. It will benefit to the person who owes it. They will only get the benefit of physical resource or the capital. But when human capital is developed, it will not benefit only the owner or the person who is having this knowledge and skill. Rather, it will benefit the whole society, the whole country. So these are some of the differences between physical capital and human capital. Now let us talk about human capital formation. We have understood what is human capital. Now we are going to understand how it can be formed. So human capital formation, it is the process of adding to the stock of human capital over a period of time. So let us see what are the various sources of human capital formation. How this human capital can be formed in a country. So what all things are to be done in order to form human capital or to develop human capital in our country. So some of the sources are given here. First, that we have to spend on education, expenditure on education, because when this investment in education is done, it is considered as one of the main source of human capital, because this education increases the efficiency as well as the skill of the human capital. Both are improved, efficiency as well as the skill. Education improves the efficiency and the skill of human capital. Now, so expenditure on health has to be done for capital, human capital formation. Second, expenditure on health, that is very important. So expenditure on health is also very important, because it is having a, because it produces or we can have the productive labor force. Health expenditure, it directly increases the physical and the mental ability of human being and produces healthy labor force. If the health of the people are good, we will get, or the country will get, healthy labor force. And naturally, if the workforce is healthy, they are not suffering from any kind of disease, they will naturally add to the prosperity of the country. Production and productivity both will improve in the country. Then next, the thing which can be done for capital, human capital formation, is on the job training. So training is also important, because through training only this normal human being can be converted into human capital. So on the job training is required to enhance the skill and expertise of human capital in order to increase productivity of the worker, because a trained person performs much better as compared to untrained worker. Trained employees performance is far better, or his efficiency is much better as compared to an untrained person. So for human capital formation, on the job training of workers or the employees, it is very important. Next, it is expenditure on migration. So migration has also to be done, because people migrate in search of job, and that job provides them higher salary than what they get from their native places. So it is considered that expenditure on migration is also considered as a source of human capital formation, because it increases the earning of the people. So when earning is increasing, that is very good for the economy of the country as well. Next, it is this expenditure on information. So the government has to do expenditure on information as well, so it will help in the formation of human capital. So let us see how it would. So people spend means they spend money to acquire information relating to labor market and the other markets like education and health. So this information is very necessary to make decisions regarding investment in human capital, as well as for efficient utilization of the acquired human capital stock. So these are some of the sources of human capital formation. Now let us talk about human resource development, because whatever human resource we have, that has to be developed or converted in capital. So let us understand the meaning of human resource development. It refers to the development of the set of individuals that makes up the workforce of an organization, business sector or economy. Now we all know why there is the need of development of this human resource, because when the human resource is developed, it is considered that human resource is converted into capital. Now this human capital contributes more to the economic growth of a country. So we all know that how a person can, a normal human being is converted to capital by acquiring good education and by acquiring good health. So when the person is literate, if we talk about education, if a person is literate and healthy, he will add more to the economic growth of a country than an illiterate person or unhealthy person. Now let us talk about the role of human capital formation in economic growth. So first point is given here, raises production. So when importance, we are talking about importance of human capital formation in economic growth. So first thing this human capital does, that it raises the production and productivity. So human capital formation raises the productivity and production because skilled and efficient worker make better use of the given resources. Next, it is efficient use of physical capital. We do have so much of natural resources available in our country, that is called the physical capital, and it can be explored well or efficiently used only when we have quality human capital in our country, or we have capital for human capital formation in our country. If the people are well educated, they have good skills, so they are with advanced technology, then only they can make you the better use of the available physical capital in the country. Next point, it is it improves the quality of life. So naturally we know that when the people acquire good quality of education, health and proper skill, then the quality of their life naturally it improves. So human capital formation, it enables the people to enjoy higher standard of living as they are able to generate better remuneration for them and for the nation. Now raises life expectancy. So when the people will acquire good health or the proper medical facilities are available to the people to maintain their good health, then naturally their life expectancy will raise. Then innovation and technological improvement, it will also take place when there is capital formation in the country, because through knowledge and skills only new techniques can be developed in a country, and they keep on improving. New innovations will be there, or new techniques will be developed when the people are well educated and they possess good skills. Then next point, it is raises social justice and equality. It means human capital formation, it changes the attitude of the people from negative to positive. So investment in human capital makes people more knowledgeable, skilled and modern in their thought and action. So when people are with modern thought and their action are also modern, so naturally there will be social justice and equality in the country. Now apart from this importance, human capital formation also faces some problem. There are reasons why we are failing to develop human capital in our country. First reason is the rising population. So this continuous rise in population is adversely affecting the quality of human capital, because this population growth has reduced per capita availability of benefits of economic growth to the people. So this rapid rising population, it lowers the capacity to possess skill and expertise required for the economic growth. If the population keeps on increasing, it won't be possible to provide all of them that quality of education and health facilities. So that is one of the problem faced in the human capital formation, that is rising population. Next, it is high regional and gender inequality. So that also we are seeing some in certain areas, some means boys are more means sent to the school, and girls are not being sent to the school. So that leads to this gender inequality. So that difference should not take place in the country. But we are facing this problem in certain area. The girls are not promoted for education, only the boys, they are promoted, or they are motivated to go to the school. Next, it is next problem which we are facing, that is migration of the people to abroad, that we call it as the brain drain. So when the people of our country, they acquire higher skill and knowledge, they move to other nation rather than serving in the same country in order to earn a better living or to earn a better income. They move abroad. So that problem also we are facing, the country is facing. Insufficient manpower planning. So that also is there in our country. We have lack of proper manpower planning. So there exists imbalance between the demand for and supply of human resource required for different categories of work. So that also we are not doing. So this planning, manpower planning is insufficient in our country. Then insufficient on the job training in agricultural sector especially. So we know that in order to enhance the skill of a person, training is very must. So in industrial sector, this training is being provided to the people to make them more efficient, but this we are lacking in agricultural sector. So there is also the need of providing on the job training in this particular sector. So we are lacking in that area. That is why in agricultural sector we are not able to form human capital. Then high poverty level, that is another reason or the problem of human capital formation. A large portion of population, they cannot access to basic health and educational facilities because of poverty. They are unable to go to reach to the or access to the proper medical facilities, or they do not have proper access to good schools. So that is also one reason. Then next point, it is low academic standards. It means educational facilities in India have not developed as required for economic growth. Still we are having low academic standards. The people are not educated or trained in a proper way so that they can be converted into human capital. So the education system in our country is not proper. It is not matching with the need of time. So there is mismatch between the requirement of skill and the available academic standard. So these are some of the problems facing human capital. Now we have already discussed that education and health, it plays very important role in conversion of or in the development of human capital. So let us understand what is education and what is the importance and objective of education in our country to convert a normal human being into human capital, so that he can add to the economic growth of the country. So education implies the process of teaching, training and learning, especially in schools, colleges, to improve knowledge and develop skills. So that is education. Now what is the importance and objective of education? Education produces good citizens. If a person is well educated, they can be converted into, or they will be the good citizens of the country, who will be judicious in choosing the government. Then education facilitates use of resources in the country. Already I told that we have so much of resources in our country, physical resource in our country, but we cannot explore, or we cannot make the better use of those resources in absence of proper education. So education helps in improving the technology and through improved technology we can make the better use of the available resources in the country. So education facilitates use of resources in the country. Now education develops science and technology, that is also very clear. It expands the mental horizon of the people, means the attitude of the people changes. Their outlook is more broad, so that narrowness is gone and the people become more broad minded. Promotes cultural standards of the citizens. Education also help the people to know what are their cultural standards, to which country they belong, what is the culture of that particular country, and so on. And overall it develops human personality. So when a particular person is well educated, his personality also will be well developed. Now some problems relating to development of education in our country. So first problem is large number of illiterates. Though the government is spending lot of money, though that amount is less, but government is spending a large amount of money, and we know that the population is also high in our country. That is why still we have large number of illiterates in our country. So still the education has not been developed in the country. Inadequate vocationalization. So it means the people are not given the job oriented education. So the education system in our country is not proper. It is producing literate jobless people in our country. The education system does not provide job to the people. Gender based, already I have said, there is biasness in providing the education. Boys are promoted for education, they are being sent to the schools and for higher education, whereas the girls are not promoted. Some girls, they are allowed to go to the school level, primary schooling they do, but they are not promoted or motivated to go for higher education. So gender biasness is also there in our country. Low rural access level. The people, those who are living in rural area, village and hilly areas, they do not have proper access to education. The good schools are not available there. The good teachers are not available there. And if some people from rural, they want to acquire better education, they have to move to the far away places, means they have to move to the urban areas in order to access a quality education. Low government expenditure on education. Though the government is spending money on education, but the amount which is spent on education, it is too low than what is required to be spent. The reason is here also, the main reason is increasing population. That is why the government is failing to spend lot of money or the desired amount of money due to rising population. Now let us talk about the interrelationship between human capital formation and economic growth, how they are interrelated to one another, because human capital formation leads to economic growth and economic growth further leads to human capital formation. So human capital formation raises the process of economic growth and economic growth raises the process of human capital formation. So let us see some of the points. So rise in human capital raises economic growth. So one chain is given here, how this rise in human capital raises economic growth. So when there first this chain, you can see first point in the chain, rise in human capital. So what will happen? The outlook of the people will change. They will have a better quality of life, higher life expectancy. So when it is there, they will be more efficient. Efficiency will increase the production and production will lead to the economic growth of the country. So that is one of the points. Second, rise in economic growth raises human capital, another part. So let us see how it is being done. Rise in economic growth. So when the economy will grow, then the income of the people will increase, means per capita income increases. So when per capita income increases, there will be more investment in education and health. So education and health, it will lead to human capital formation. So there will be rise in human capital. Now some of this education sector in India, let us talk about this. So elementary education, let us see the status of elementary education. So elementary education, it is from this class 1 to 8, and it is provided to the children of age group 6 to 14. So elementary education covers students from class 1 to 8, that is primary and middle, in the age group of 6 to 14 years. The number of primary and middle schools have increased from 2.23 lakhs, this data is of 1950-51, and to 11.92 lakh in 2011-12. So this number of primary and middle schools have increased in our country. So about 97% children in the age group of 6 to 14 years have been receiving education in the schools. Second, various policies such as Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, Midday Meal Scheme, District Primary Education Program, Right to Education have been playing major role in enhancing primary education in India. So these schemes are promoting the children to go to school and get the education. Now at secondary and senior secondary level, let us see. So as per a survey, number of secondary and senior secondary schools also have increased from to 2.12 lakh, and number of students getting educated at this level have increased to 482 lakhs. At central level, Navodaya schools, Kendriya Vidyalayas are playing very important role in promoting and providing education at this level. Now let us talk about higher education. As per a survey in India, near about 665 universities are imparting education at higher level, and number of colleges are 35,829. Number of students getting higher education is about 130 lakh. And in addition to it, since independence, the number of institutions imparting technical and professional education has also increased significantly in India, in which polytechnical institutions, engineering colleges, medical colleges, research centers like IIT, Agriculture Research Institute, India Statistical Institute, IIM, etc. are also playing very important role in providing higher education in the country. So this is all about human capital formation in India. I hope you have understood, and for further information or detailed information, you read the textbook, and after that you complete the given assignment. So let me read out the questions which you can answer after going through this video. So you can easily write any four difference between human capital and physical capital that we have discussed in the same video. Then you can you have to explain briefly any four sources of human capital formation, that also we have discussed. Then what is the importance of human capital formation in India? Explain about the problems in the formation of human capital in India, that problems also we have discussed. And then explain the role of education in the development of human capital. So this is your assignment. Dear children, continue your studies these days. So though we are not having the formal classes, but make use of these videos or the presentations which we are sending to you, and keep yourself updated. Try to write the notes in the copy as well as assignment which we are giving you after every video, after every chapter. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.